Hi everyone, I have a channel here for you today that is quite interesting. This is a channel for the spirit of Christmas, if you will, the pagan deity, the Christmas modern myth, if you will. I'm talking about Santa Claus. So, for those of you who don't know, the spirit of Christmas that a lot of people refer to, there's a lot of energy that has been poured into this collective idea of Santa Claus. So, in my experience, while there are various roots that you could say inspired this deity, um, I would classify him as his own deity at this point. He is a modern deity, you could consider him that. I actually met him recently for a client. And it's funny, this has actually been on my wish list, if you will, as I was wanting to meet Santa. I kind of put out there, like, hey, Santa, if you're real, I would love to meet you actually. So it was really cool to be able to meet him and chat with him and pass his messages along for my client. Um, Sorry, my throat has been a little clogged today. I don't know if some of you have also experienced this energy, but it feels a little bit like I have an energy hangover. That's the best way I can put it right now. And I wonder too if for this collective, like, if you're feeling a lot of blocks being cleared or you're working through a lot of things, maybe some of you have allergies or sensitivities that have like developed more strongly recently or just kind of reawakened from nowhere. I don't know. Anyway, so back to Santa. I find him a really interesting deity because I mean, some people like to throw around the term of egregore and things like that and make it out like it's a bad thing. In my opinion, all deities kind of come from a form of energy, generally speaking. And then as humans interact with that energy, we give qualities and characteristics to it based on our experiences with it. And it's a very co-creative process, a very symbiotic process. And then over time, this energy source develops like an appearance and a personality traits and other things kind of based on its interactions with people. So it's deities are, in my opinion, often like really like they're shaped by humans. It's a big topic, and this isn't a channel just about that. That's just kind of like a little thought that I have, a little headcanon I have, if you will. But I thought I would share that. So I mean this to say that I don't think there's anything wrong with Santa being a deity. I think that may shock some people. I think that may be weird to some people, but I am going to share some observations. So, Santa has his own special day. He is celebrated by a large group of people. He has songs that venerate him. People leave out offerings or sacrifices, if you will, and they are of a particular nature. There's a story behind him. There are qualities we attribute to him. We have a general agreed upon appearance for him, as well as what his role in our society is. Um, he has some very, very devoted followers, worshipers, people who work with him, if you will. Um, I think if you've ever met people who really embody that Christmas spirit, if you've ever met people who are really into the holidays, they're just warm, they're kind, and they're loving. They have their traditions, they have their foods they like to make, they get their family together, they give gifts, they like lovingly kind of like chastise, their kids or their friends and peers and like help them to live a better life. And they're just really generous, warm people. I feel like that embodies a lot of the people who are fans of Santa. Um, Anyway, it's a big old interesting topic. I would love to hear your thoughts below in the comments. So please do share if you have any. Um, but yeah, without further ado, what I want to do is I want to like share some of the qualities that he has given me that are associated with him. I think a lot of us will already know these things because I think a lot of my followers are American, but even other people around the world, I think, have a pretty good idea of Santa Claus. So he likes mistletoe, and the colors red and green are very associated with him. When he showed me his appearance, he did appear to me like a white man with like a big white beard and the hat, and he had long white hair. He had like the red um not robe, shirt, like velvety kind of shirt with the white fur trim. And he had like very warm um eyes, very warm kind smile. His eyes were very like crystal blue is how I saw him. Um yeah, and he had like kind of reddish cheeks. Like he looked kind of like a very classic Santa Claus. Um and he when he spoke with my client, he gave this really reassuring message of encouragement. Um I'm actually gonna share a bit. I asked if it was okay to share a bit of some of what that person had received for guidance. Santa gave this really beautiful analogy of there was a duck that was on a lake I saw for this client, and this duck was like looking at the lake, and the lake was filled with swans. And the swans were doing that really beautiful, like that heart shaped kind of dance thing that they do with each other. They're making that cute heart shape with their necks, and then they're kind of like dancing around, and they're all, paired and coupled up. And the duck that I saw was alone. And the duck watched us for a while, and there's this pervasive feeling of loneliness from him. But he he turned around and then went to shore and became like a man. And he kind of became this like lumberjack sort of man. And then he um, he started chopping down trees and building a house. And the house had a view of the lake still. And what was really interesting was that even though seeing these couples and these like this community on the lake seemed to make him really sad, um, this person was building a house that was like far enough away for him to have his own space, but like still watching that. And he built it and built it, and then finally it was finished, and it was really beautiful because he turned this like light on, and the light shined out of his house, and it was really dark all around, but the light shone from that house in the woods, and it just kind of illuminated the area. And it was really interesting because there was, I'm just getting emotional even thinking about remembering this vision. There was this beautiful sense of community that the light shining from his house gave through those windows. And it was like, even though that house was alone, it was community, if that makes sense. And I'm gonna skip some parts of this story, but then when we got to the part where like the client actually was brought to like meet Santa, it was really interesting. And Santa was telling him of like, you have such a generous heart, you have such a good nature. He's like, you see the kindness in the world even though the world has not been kind to you. Like I'm getting so emotional even remembering this. It was just so powerful. um, and he says, you dug deep within your own heart. And when you found loneliness, you found a way to combat the loneliness by building a shelter for you, and not just for you, but for other people to come in and share it as well. And then there was, prior to this in the channeling, that like a person had also come into that house and was sharing that house with the person. And so, Santa was referencing this. And, um, and he says, you turn your loneliness into something so powerful. He says, you turned it into community because you understood that pain of not belonging. And though you did not like to feel as though you did not belong, you found a way to belong and to help others like who also did not. Right. And um, he said some other things, and it was all just so moving. And I want to jump ahead a little bit to where when the client like returned to the woods in his house there, he went back to the lake, and he remember he was a duck at the beginning, and then he turned into the swan actually, and he joined the other swans in the lake in this community. And this is so beautiful to remember again. It just makes me really emotional. um, when you looked out at the lake all around, you saw these other log cabins, and they had their lights on. And it was just so beautiful because they just dotted this landscape in this sense of like, yes, there's solitude, but there wasn't loneliness. There was community in all of those people there, like gathering together, all those people who built their homes. Um, And something Santa had said was like, so many people build a home but do not turn the lights on. And he's like, the kindness that shines from you is the light that I see from your house. And he's like, and this is how I see the goodness in people, is I see whose windows shine forth light and whose windows are empty and cold and dark. And it was just so moving. It was really powerful. Like I was really it was amazing. Yeah. And so for context, the client asked me after this channeling. There were other things in this channeling, but the client asked me after this channeling if I wanted to hear how it resonated for him. And I said, yes, I would love to. And he said that he had recently gotten out of a relationship, um, and recently, yeah, we'll say a long-term relationship, and he was feeling extremely lonely, and he had lost his house because of the relationship ending, and so he was actually building himself a new house. And I just found that so funny. It's like this channeling sometimes are really, really specific that I get, for someone's real life themes, and it's funny. I had a notification just go off. I don't know if you could hear that. Um, but yeah. So anyway, um, the spirit of Santa Claus is just such a generous and a warm and a welcoming spirit, and it's this deity that like wants to reward people who have kindness in their heart, who value community, who are giving, who are not afraid of putting in work to build something that lasts. Like he really likes homemade things. He likes the hearth, like the fireplace and wood and stuff. Um, he really likes those like handmade ornaments and those little like wooden picture frames, like log cabin kind of stuff. He is really he quite likes it. Anything to do with trees, of course, Christmas trees, like the bark of trees. Um, excuse me. So yeah, it was just really lovely. And so, if you want, this year you can partake in the Santa tradition. You can leave out the milk and cookies. You can light a red or green candle to him. He says he likes the smell of, what is it? He's saying something about jasper. It's like mistletoe, jasper, eucalyptus. These are all things that he likes. Holly, like holly berries. Getting another notification. It's so funny. I usually don't get notifications while I'm doing these channelings, and I see 222 um, on the recording right now. So I think he's really happy that I am sharing this, because he was very excited to share this little message today, and I was also excited because it's like, it's one of my it's been a long time dream of mine to meet him. When I was younger, I actually, it's funny. I'm God, I must have been maybe 6 years old or 7, but I remember hearing him. I was in a room in my house, and there was like a plate of cookies, and like the plate of cookies was untouched. But like when I later went into that room, like a bite had been taken out of one of the cookies. Like on my life, I swear this happened. And I was in that room, and I heard his laughter and I heard jingling bells. And there was nothing like that happening in my neighborhood at all. I lived in a very quiet neighborhood. Um, and I just knew it was him. Like I kind of felt him. I didn't know how else to say it. And I excitedly went to my parents, and I was like, oh my God, Santa was here. Like I heard Santa Claus and this and that. My anyway, I won't go to too many details. I don't really think I was not believed. But I was convinced of it from a young age. And yeah, I really like believed that, even though I didn't understand, psychic or pagan deity sort of stuff, like I just truly believed that something, like he existed somewhere somehow. Sorry, my cat's going crazy with a bag over there. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this little channel. I hope that this holiday season is festive and magic and wonderful for you and full of all sorts of good things. I hope you get the chance to meet Santa yourself. Maybe I'll do some more channels with him. I don't know. I speak for whoever comes through, whoever wants to pass along a message. But yeah, I am just really excited to share his warmth and generosity with you guys. I hope it's uplifting. I hope the rest of your day is fantastic. And thank you so much for listening. As always, sending love, light, and gratitude for your shadow.